Welcome back to Campbell Kitchen. Today we're going to learn how to make sweet Italian sausage. Now, sweet Italian sausage, is it sweet? Not really. It just refers to a sausage that is not hot Italian sausage. It's pretty savory, although it does have a little bit of sugar in it. Sausage is very simple. You have lean meat, you have fat, you have seasonings, and you have a little bit of liquid to blend it all together. Follow along, super easy, you're going to love it. Okay, so to start out, I weighed some spices out. So right there I have 1 ounce of fennel seeds, coarsely ground, an ounce of black pepper, an ounce of paprika, an ounce of dextrose, and 3.5 ounces of salt. If you don't have dextrose, just substitute with sugar. And as you can see, I have large cubes. That's the fat. And I also have lean meat, as you see underneath there. So what I'm doing is dumping it into a hotel pan or a large container, and I'm going to season all that meat with those spices. So it's important to keep your meat really cold, and it's important to let your meat marinate with all the spices to really absorb that flavor. Now I'm using 10 pounds of meat, and what I did was about 7 pounds of pork, to various parts that I had in my freezer from breaking down a whole pig, and about 3 pounds of pork belly, fat back, leaf lard, just scraps that I had in my freezer. So I mix it up really well, and then now it's ready to go in the freezer. And you can see it looks beautiful. It has all those spices mixed in well. So go ahead and freeze it until it's almost frozen. And then you add it into your meat grinder. Now your meat grinder, I'm just using a cheap KitchenAid one. It works actually just fine. As you can see, it's pretty light and fluffy ground meat. Once it starts to smear, if you do it for a while, maybe it'll heat up a little bit. So that's time to stop your project, cool everything down, clean your grinder, put it in ice water, and then start over again, because you always want to make sure that your meat's very cold. That's crucial. So, as you can see, I ground, and that's what the final product. Now, this is just the meat and all the spices. Now what I'm going to do is incorporate water, and water kind of brings everything together. Sometimes they use wine, various other liquids. Today we're using water. And I'm just adding little by little, and I'm going to mix it by hand. Now, you just want to mix it until it gets a little sticky and tacky, right? That kind of emulsifies the fat and the meat together, and that makes it really juicy sausage. If you don't add liquid, your sausage is going to be kind of mealy and dry, and the fat's going to be separate. So the heat from your hand is going to warm the sausage enough with that water to kind of make a sticky, mushy mixture. Now that's going to provide you with a wonderful sausage that's super juicy, very flavorful. And once you're at the point that I'm at right here, you can go ahead and stop mixing and just put it in your freezer or your fridge, let it cool down, and pull out your meat stuffer. Now this is your sausage stuffer right here. I bought it on Amazon, it's like $100. And these are hog casings. Now you can use different casings. Today I'm using hog casings. It's the intestine of a pig. So you're gonna fill up your sausage stuffer almost to the top. Slowly but surely. You're gonna wanna press it down with your hand to make sure there's not any large air pockets. And you can see I attached the mid-sized tube to the bottom of the stuffer. That's going to be about the right size. And now with the hog casings, this is a little bit tricky. I tried to do it on a cutting board, but you kind of want a slippery surface underneath your sausage stuffer so the sausages can kind of slide around the table really easily, and it's easier to stuff them. So what I ended up doing was actually taking off my gloves, because I can't work with gloves and the hog casings, and then I actually removed the cutting board that you'll see here in a second. But what you want to do is take the hog casing after you soaked it in water. You want to rinse it of all the impurities and salt that has been stored in, and then you just add it to your tube. And what you can do is just work it little by little, and you'll see one intestine is going to be maybe 5 feet long or 4 feet long. And you're just gonna work little by little, and eventually you'll be ready to go. So I use a hand crank. So One hand I'm kind of gently pulling it, making sure that the sausage is firm, and the other hand I'm slowly cranking and pushing that sausage out of the stuffer into the casing. And this looks pretty good. What you want to do is just slow and steady and make sure that the casing is filled up. Not so tight that it's going to burst, but you want it to be completely full. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just do your best to do a nice even stuff, just like that. And I was going to tie off the ends, but that's not quite necessary. You just want to give them a little twist. Now it's time to twist them into links. You can do any size that you'd like. Generally I pick maybe like a 5-inch, 4.5-inch size. Twist them, fold it over so I know the right size, just like I'm doing there. So they all are very uniform or closely uniform. And you just continue the process. And you're gonna find sooner or later when you twist, one of them will break. Not a big deal, just keep moving on. I am definitely not an expert sausage maker, and I always have them burst on me. I was pretty lucky here, it worked out pretty well. And this is why it's crucial not to overstuff your sausages. If you stuff them too much and too much meat in the casing, when you twist them, they're gonna rupture. So as you can see there, they're relatively uniform. And now you're gonna want a needle. This was part of my espresso machine kit, and it has a very, very fine point. And you're just gonna poke the little air pockets. And what that does is allow for the sausage to just form into a tighter final product. It releases any air pockets that might store fats and just gives you a better sausage. Just gonna keep the juices in. It's not gonna rupture. You don't have to worry about any of that. So just go around and just poke the little air pockets with any needle that you have. And this is a very, very, very small hole. You don't want a large hole at all. You're just letting the air out, so it's gonna cook even, dry even. And from this point, you let it dry for a couple days. And so to cook it, I use a cast iron pan. This is the smallest I have, but it works just fine. And you put it in the pan over medium to medium low heat. Keep it covered, and you're gonna find that it's gonna brown up on one side. Then you're gonna wanna flip it over and just keep that heat low to medium low. And because I let that sausage dry for a couple days, it's gonna cook up really nice. If I cooked it right when it was finished stuffing, it's really wet and it's gonna not cook up so nice. So that's what we're looking for. Nice color on both sides. It's gonna be fully cooked through. The meat has stayed in the sausage tube. It hasn't come squirting out or anything like that. Sweet Italian sausage is so versatile. Today I'm serving it with a couple mustards and sauerkraut. You can just as easily break it open and serve it with pasta. Well, I hope you guys liked the recipe. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you guys.